infamous, an evil, terminal, velocity disaster. The sad fate of Teagan Marti. Sometimes we love TV shows. Sometimes TV shows can inspire us to go places, to do things. Sometimes a TV show can break legs. After seeing the terminal velocity ride on TV show Bert the Conqueror, 12-year-old Teagan Marti was instantly captivated. In July of 2010, she finally got her opportunity to go on the ride. Little did she know, the events that would take place would change her life forever. In a moment of absolute madness, Teagan was plunged down to the ground without the safety net being in place. Scary? You bet. But how on earth could this possibly happen? Let's talk about it. Welcome to Funk Horror Town. This is the infamous terminal velocity disaster and the fate of Teagan Marti and how unlucky someone can be. Teagan Marti was born on September 4th, 1998, to parents Dr. Alex and Julie Marti in Parkland, Florida. There isn't much information about her online, but we do know that she was a shy yet adventurous kid, and she was well liked by her classmates at West Glades Middle School. One of her classmates said, "She was a really nice girl, and she did everything that she could to help other people." After seeing the terminal velocity ride at Extreme World on TV show Bert the Conqueror, she convinced her parents to take her there on holiday so that she could have a go. Extreme World is an amusement park located in the Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin, renowned for its unique adrenaline-fueled rides and attractions. The park is infamous for pushing the edge, and their standout attraction was the terminal velocity. The terminal velocity ride at Extreme World was a unique attraction that drew thrill seekers with its extreme approach to freefall experiences. It was designed to provide a unique freefall experience without the use of traditional safety restraints like harnesses or bungee cords. Instead, the ride relied on a net to catch participants at the end of their fall. The rider would put on safety gear and ascend to a platform situated around 165 feet above the ground. After a safety briefing and mental preparation, riders would be lowered through the platform and experience a pure freefall. The key safety feature of the terminal velocity was the net system at the base of the fall zone. This net was intended to safely catch and cushion the fall of the participant, reducing the impact force and preventing injury. The net had to be precisely positioned and maintained to ensure it functioned correctly. This net was supported by a series of airbags positioned underneath it. The bags had to be properly inflated at all times in order for the net to be in the right place. This meant that between rides, one of the operators would have to check them to make sure they were all inflated. On the 30th of July 2010, once one of the ride operators inflated these bags, disaster struck, which would change Teagan Marti's life forever. In July of 2010, Teagan had finally made it to the park and could not wait to go on the ride. It was just after noon when her turn finally arrived. She was put into the harness and the ride operator released the trapdoor. Teagan was now suspended around 100 feet in the air. Ride operator Charles pulled the ripcord, which sent Teagan crashing towards the ground. Little did he know, the worker below had not filled the airbags that lifted the safety net into place. In other words, the safety net that was supposed to catch her fall was not even there. She landed on her back on the floor below. Charles watched on in horror as he realized the mistake he had just made. One eyewitness said, "I heard a mom screaming, and I looked down, and there was a little girl on the ground, and the mom was saying, 'Please don't let my baby die. Please don't let my baby die.'" Her father and mother were the first to see her hit the ground. Her father recalled she was basically unconscious, not moving and laying flat on her back with blood coming out of her ears and nose. Just a horrible, horrible scene. At the moment she fell and I heard that loud thud, I just assumed she was dead. Her mother said, "I saw her fall. I ran to her. She was bleeding out of her ears, mouth and nose." Teagan was now unconscious on the ground, her parents holding her as they waited for the emergency services to arrive. Her mother said her eyes were rolling back in her head and her lips were turning purple, and I couldn't feel her pulse. And I said, "Teagan, it's Mommy. Stay with me." Witness Judy Norris, along with Teagan's father, gave the girl CPR as she lay on the ground. An air ambulance arrived and transported Teagan to the American Family Children's Hospital. She was put onto a ventilator and was in critical condition. The police then closed the ride and an investigation was launched. After examining the ride, the airbags and the net, it was determined that nothing was wrong with the ride itself and that operator error had to be the cause. Commerce officials reported that the ride was last inspected on June 28th, with no violations found. They also mentioned that the ride had undergone annual inspections since 2004, and there have been no accident reports during that time. It didn't take long for the park owner Bill Anderson to indicate that error was to blame, and he said that ride operator Charles was absolutely devastated. Charles had been a long-term employee at the park, and he wasn't found to have drugs or alcohol in his system. The ride operator on the ground was quickly ruled out. The State Department of Commerce report released claimed that the operator at the top of the terminal velocity ride, Charles, had failed to follow protocol when Teagan Marti was lowered down as the safety nets were not in place, and he was not given the thumbs up. He was charged with first-degree reckless injury. According to the criminal complaint, he didn't look for or get the signal that the safety nets were in place, and he totally blanked out when Teagan hit the ground. Charles's defense lawyer said, "This was a terrible accident that Mr. Charles has relived every day since it happened. He is a devoted employee, and he would never intentionally put someone in harm's way." He went on to say, "What happened that day was a tragic mistake, but whether it's criminal or not is a different question, and it's really, ultimately difficult for many people that I've spoken with to understand why he was even charged." In 2011, Charles pled no contest to felony second-degree reckless injury. This ended the criminal case against him. He was convicted and only made to pay $268 in court fees. He was not sentenced to prison or forced to pay any other fines. What a loser. The family of Teagan Marti sued Extreme World, and an undisclosed settlement was reached whilst Teagan was still in the hospital. The doctors confirmed to the parents that she had suffered swelling on her brain, multiple severe fractures of her pelvis and spine, and lacerations to her spleen, intestines, and liver. Despite this, Teagan was strong and remained stable. While her daughter was laying in the hospital bed, her mother said, "We don't know what her deficits are going to be. We don't know if she's going to be paralyzed." Thankfully, Teagan suffered no brain damage, but the recovery would be difficult. After spending 1 month at the American Families Children's Hospital, she was transferred to Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami, Florida. Teagan would spend a further 2 months here, doing various physiotherapy and rehab. She had to learn to walk again, but she was strong. During this time, she had surgery to repair her spine and pelvis, and after a few months, she was able to move her hands and toes. After 3 months of being in the hospital, she was finally able to return home, but her recovery did not stop there. At first, she would have to do physical therapy 5 times a week before it was reduced to 3 times, and a year after her fall, she spoke and discussed her recovery with CBS News. She told the media that her recovery had been very hard, but she was doing good and feeling good. Teagan was now able to walk with the help of a walker. The reporter asked, "Did you ever think you would make this much progress?" In which she replied, "Yeah," with a smile on her face. She also said that the support from her friends and family is what kept her going, and thanked everyone for their ongoing support. Her mother said, From where she was and where she is now, I can't believe it. She is continuing to get better and better and better. She is a fighter. She wants to get better. She is not giving up. I'm proud of her. After a year and a half, Teagan returned back to the American Family Children's Hospital, which saved her life, to thank them. According to reports, she walked through the doors with her walker, dropping jaws as hospital staff and reporters were left in awe. Another story I will add quickly that I found pretty cool is that the actor Charlie Sheen heard about Teagan's story and wired her $10,000 to get her a support therapy dog. This was to help with her rehab. What a guy. I wish Teagan and her family all the best. Thanks for watching Horror Funk Town. Stay well, kiddies. See you on the next video, and don't fall.